Alright, what's going on, guys? I've been playing Lords of the Fallen for about 15 hours now, and we have a very good game on our hands. This is easily one of the best Souls-likes that's ever been made, but I'll save a lot of those thoughts for my official review, which will be going up pretty soon. Today, I want to take a deep dive into the gameplay, and break down a lot of the things that you absolutely need to know, because even if you're a Souls veteran, and are familiar with these types of games, Lords of the Fallen introduces a ton of new features and twists on the genre that'll take even the best of us by surprise. All footage in this video will be from the intro levels of the game, so no need to worry about spoilers. So as we get into that today, if you want to stay up to date on all things Lords of the Fallen and are excited for the game, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because I have a ton of content coming out about it that you will not want to miss. But with all that, let's get into it. When you begin your game in Lords of the Fallen, the first thing you're going to want to get a grip on is combat. And this game has a traditional Souls-style combat to it, albeit with many twists. It revolves around blocking, dodging, and pacing your attacks, identifying enemy attack patterns, and adapting to their rhythm. Your R1 is a basic light attack, R2 is a strong attack that can be charged, and these offer new attacks right after dodging, as well as sprint attacks that can deal a bit more damage. Your primary means of avoiding damage are your dodges, which is a short dash while locked onto a target, and a leaping roll when free aiming. You can use L1 to block attacks, which will cause you to take a bit of residual damage, but you can get that health back by attacking. You can perform a perfect block by timing it right when you get hit by an attack to take minimal residual damage, but to build up a large portion of stagger against your enemy. The stagger meter can be found along your reticle when locked onto a target. Attacking and perfect blocking both contribute to this, and if a perfect block is performed when the stagger meter is depleted, you'll get the chance to do a visceral attack and large damage to your target. Another layer is ranged combat, which can be switched to on the D-pad, allowing you to deal damage from afar with whatever ranged option you have equipped. And this is its own slot. It does not override your weapons, but it is where you'll equip your magic if you choose to go that route. Instead of having ammo, ranged attacks pull from a bar beneath your stamina, which refills at vestiges, and if you switch to magic, will be replaced by a mana bar. When it comes to your moment-to-moment combat, one of the absolute most important things you need to manage is positioning, making sure you're out of the way of enemies and only within the range of the enemy you're trying to fight. Most of your fights will be against more than one enemy, so it's very important to be aware of your surroundings so that you don't get caught off guard and pulled into a multiple hit combo, but this is something you'll pick up as you play. But that about does it for the basics of combat. Let's switch to something a little bit more advanced. Mornstead is divided between two realities, the world of the living Axiom and the world of the dead Umbral, and you'll have to traverse both in order to make it through your journey. Your tool for peering between worlds is the Umbral lamp, which can be used with L2 to give you a connection to the other side, but only with what's within the lamp's light. This can reveal puzzles, hidden paths, things that you'll absolutely need in order to progress, but the worlds flow seamlessly together, making this less of an annoyance and more of an exciting opportunity to explore. But Umbral is home to powerful enemies, and the longer you spend there, the tougher they get. As you stay in Umbral, a meter around this eye in the top of your screen will continue to grow longer and longer, and as it fills up, the threats will grow. More enemies will spawn, as well as more powerful enemies. If you happen to let the eye fill up all the way, then you may just be as good as dead. I've not survived this a single time, but I'll let you figure out exactly what happens for yourself. But your lamp is not the only way into Umbral. After all, it is the world of the dead, so when you die in Axiom, you'll resurrect in Umbral. And this is very useful in boss fights, because not only will it give half of your health back, with the rest of it being residual damage, but you'll also have a very short window of invulnerability and can pace your heals around when you want to use that resurrection, which is why it's smart to return to Axiom whenever you can, because you're essentially giving yourself a free life. But the lamp's abilities go beyond just being a portal. It can also be a very useful tool in combat, with an attack called a soul flay, which can rip the soul out of an enemy, allowing you a window to deal big damage, which builds up residually on the target. You can also direct the soul in a direction and the enemy will follow. That includes off cliffs. Using a soul flay consumes a charge of the icon you can see in the top, right below your range attack bar, which can be recharged by absorbing glowing mounds in Umbral, and it can be upgraded throughout the game to get more. Occasionally, you may also find enemies that you can't hurt. This is because of Umbral parasites, little wisps that you can see hanging off the enemy that you have to suck up with your lamp. They provide buffs to whatever they're attached to, most of the time in the form of a shield. One way to get back to Axiom from Umbral is through the use of a vestige seedling. Occasionally you'll find convergence of roots and flowers where you can plant a vestige seed and create your own vestige, and these can usually be found after boss fights, or sometimes right before. But the interesting thing about vestige seedlings is that a lot of times you'll find yourself without without one. So unlike a lot of the items in this game, this is one thing where you might actually want to use pretty sparingly. For example, if you come across a vestige seedbed right after you have a stationary vestige, it may not be worth using, because there are times where the run between vestiges is very long, and you can find an opportunity for a vestige seedling about midway through that path. And trust me, at that point you're gonna wish you had one. But of course, the majority of the time you're using your lamp will be to solve puzzles, traversing the world in ways that are only available in Umbral. And you cannot forget that. Anytime it seems like you've come against a dead end, chances are you just need to check the other world. Remember, they flow together. But now that you understand how the game is played, another major portion of your playtime will be spent at Skyrest, which is the game's main hub. Here you'll find all the NPCs to give you the lore breakdowns, essential character upgrades, as well as many merchants to give you new gear. You'll want to check back here every time you beat a boss, or notice an NPC has left where you last found them outside of Skyrest. And of course, the unspoken rule of Souls-likes, always talk to every character until they start repeating themselves. But like the rest of the world around it, you'll want to check out Skyrest and Umbral as well, because some NPCs only reside on the other side. I really like the hub in this game. It's got a lot going on, and it connects very seamlessly to the world around it. And there's enough puzzles and mystery involved as well to explore that I find myself passing time very fast when I'm here. But now let's go over some other things that are really cool and that you'll want to know before diving in. First of all, in this game, plunge attacks do a massive amount of damage. Pressing R2 while falling will do a strong attack in midair, and if you land on an unsuspecting enemy, you can usually take them out in one hit. When making your build and deciding what kind of weapon you want to use, one thing you may want to consider is dual wielding. Dual wielding weapons unlocks an entirely new moveset, while still being able to block and guard. The only trade-off here is that while this increases your damage than just only using one weapon, these attacks tend to have longer combos, meaning that once you press the button to attack, you're going to be stuck in that animation until it finishes, and this leaves you more vulnerable than only using one. But a really cool trick you can do with this is begin the combo while dual wielding, then switch to two-handing one weapon. It'll continue the combo with the two-handed moveset, and then you can switch back to finish the combo with the dual wield moveset. So when you switch stances, it does not reset your combo. Now the reason this may be useful is, let's say in a boss fight when you have downtime between the boss's attacks to punish, but not enough to get a full dual wielded combo, then you could begin the combo while dual wielding, maybe get 1 or 2 steps in, and then finish the combo in the two-handed moveset. This is something that's going to take a lot more experimentation to really figure out, but I can see this being especially useful in PvP whenever we get to try that. Another thing you'll want to keep an eye on are damage types. You can see I've buffed my swords with fire against the Congregator of Flesh, which is the elemental type that he's weak to. Now when dealing damage that the enemy is weak to, you'll see your numbers pop up in red, but you may also see them pop up red even when you're not doing any elemental damage. Red means that you're doing above average damage than what that enemy would normally take. If your numbers are popping up white, then that means that you're doing the average amount of damage that that enemy should be taking. And if you find an enemy that's taking gray damage, that means they're either resisting your damage type or your DPS is too low than what they should be receiving. It's still possible to be doing gray damage even when you have the proper elemental type, but most of the time if you're dealing the proper damage type that your enemy is weak to, that'll be your best key to getting into red. Occasionally throughout the world you'll find red moths surrounding a lamp on the ground. If you use your lamp to soulflay it, you'll pull a red spirit from the lamp. This is a spirit of a fallen player who died to a nearby enemy. The moths will then create a trail to the enemy that killed the player, and that enemy will take on the name of the player they killed. You can see the cage head here is named Benji, and then another time named Barbarian Jimmy. It seems like a lot of people died to these guys, and they are one of the hardest enemies I've encountered so far, so that makes a lot of sense. It makes for a cool little interaction, and you'll get an achievement for avenging a fallen lamp bearer. One other cool feature that Lords of the Fallen has is a photo mode, activated by pressing start and then L3. And while in photo mode, everything freezes. So during my time of playing the game, this served as a great pause button. Now considering that Lords of the Fallen is an online game with multiplayer, I'm not exactly sure how these two are going to coincide. My assumption is that photo mode won't be available while playing multiplayer, but at least while playing single player, you have a lot of options here. And there is an in-game photo gallery which can be accessed from the title screen so that you can save those pictures you take. I had a lot of fun messing around with this, especially during some really spectacular fights. But that is most of the things you need to know in order to begin your journey in Lords of the Fallen. But this game goes far deeper than what I've covered in this video. I don't want to reveal everything, because part of the fun is figuring things out. But with this knowledge, you are more than equipped to begin your journey in Mornstead to take down the demon god Adir. And man, I can't wait for some of y'all to get hands-on with this game, because all you Souls fans out there are going to love it. But anyways though guys, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like on it. Make sure you're subscribed because I'm gonna have a lot more content coming out very soon that you will absolutely not want to miss. Let me know how excited you are down in the comment section below, and with all that, I will catch you in the next one.